Kehilat Tzion, we're in Erev Shabbat, Parashat Vayechi. This week in the Haftarah, we read about David's last words to Shlomo. Before David passes away, he's telling Shlomo that he has to take care of a whole bunch of unfinished business that David has, to punish those who need to be punished, to reward those who need to be rewarded. And the Rav Modiin points out that this is the connection to the Parashat. Yaakov is on his deathbed, and he blesses his children, and he rewards those who need to be rewarded, and he speaks harshly to those who need to be spoken harshly to. Very similar to the story of David. But I think there's another aspect to the Haftarah that has a discussion, maybe even a dispute with the Haftarah. In our parasha, we see how Yosef turns to his brothers who come to him and beg for mercy, and he tells them, am I under Hashem, hatachat Elokim ani? Atem chashavtem alai ra'a ve'Elokim chashava letova. You had bad intentions in what you have done to me, but Hashem had good intentions. Hashem led everything in a positive manner, and I'm not going to punish you for what you have done. I'm not going to punish you for that, because in the perspective, in the godly perspective, it was all for good. David HaMelech tells Shlomo to punish Shimei ben Gera. When we go to the first story of Shimei ben Gera, David HaMelech is fleeing from Yerushalayim when Avshalom, his son, rebels against him. And on his way out, Shimei ben Gera, from the family of Shaul, starts throwing rocks at David HaMelech. And he curses him, and he speaks harshly, and he speaks really rudely to David. And he blames David for murdering the whole household of Shaul and for the wrong intentions. And of course, this has nothing to do with David's personality and what he did. And his men want to kill Shimei ben Gera. They want to punish Shimei ben Gera. And David says, no, Hashem put this in his mouth. If he's cursing me, it's because Hashem told him to curse me. And therefore, he did not punish Shimei ben Gera. And when he came back to Yerushalayim and Shimei ben Gera begged forgiveness, he swore to him that he will not punish him. And David, in both moments, he looks at what happened from the godly perspective, saying it's in the hands of Hashem. Very similar to Yosef. But Yosef sticks with that. He starts with that in the previous parasha, and he sticks to it in our parasha. And David suddenly changes. He changes his perspective, and he tells Shlomo, make sure that you punish Shimei ben Gera. What changed? Why this difference? And it could be that we're talking about two different perspectives that are both correct. Yosef also knows that the brothers had bad intentions. Atem chashavtem alai ra'a. And Yosef had all the right to come out and punish them. And David knows that Hashem told him Kalil. But he also knows that at the end, it's Shimei's choice. He didn't think that he was now the messenger of Hashem. He was doing what he wanted against David. You have two perspectives of looking at the events that happen in our life, that happen in the nation's life. You can look at them from the individual, from the perspective of people, and you can look at them from the godly perspective. How do you choose when to do what? Maybe David, as king, felt that he has a responsibility to make sure that people feel responsible for their actions. They have to realize that when they do something, they're going to be punished. There are consequences. That's how a king has to stand. When he was fleeing from Avshalom, it was a personal issue. But now, on his deathbed, he has to make sure that there's order in the kingdom. He can't leave Shlomo with a kingdom where people can curse the king, and the king will say, well, this is in the hands of Hashem. But Yosef had a completely different perspective. He wasn't looking from the perspective of a king who needs to punish his people, but he's looking from the perspective of a brother, of a sibling, making sure that the brotherhood sticks together. That's his point. And when he wants to keep the brotherhood, he elevates himself. He doesn't look at things from the perspective of this world, but he looks at things from a higher perspective and connects it to how Hashem leads history. If you need things from the people's perspective, people have to be held responsible for their actions. But when you want to keep the glue, the nation together, if you want to keep the brotherhood, you have to be able to look at the different actions that have taken place, the different events that take place from the godly perspective, and see how everyone in the nation has their role in how Hashem leads Am Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom.